This video is going to be a film study look at the impact that Zay Flowers had in the Ravens' 41-38 overtime win over the Bengals on the road in Week 5. As you watch the film in this video, you probably will come to the same conclusion I did, that Zay Flowers could do this all day. There were multiple routes against at least three different corners that he wins cleanly. Two times where he's open by 3 to 4 yards, and Lamar is working through the progression, so gets in the ball a little bit later. So when the ball does arrive, the DB has closed a little bit. Zay Flowers gave them problems, whether it was CTB, whether it was Dax Hill, who went out injured after a route where Flowers made him change direction. DJ Turner, no matter who it was, those guys had difficulty keeping up with him. I'm not sure how the Bengals change their coverage paradigm the next time we play them. Additional to how impactful Flowers was and how clean the connections were between him and Lamar is how efficiently the Ravens solved Sticks Blitz Zero. Yes, there were two iterations of it that, quote, worked for the Bengals in the fourth quarter, but Lamar, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, they were able to solve that coverage and basically make the Bengals, I think, get out of it for large stretches. And really, I think the next time these teams meet, question how much it should be used at all, because the Ravens have two surefire ways to solve it that are pretty much indefensible. I love the first play of the game. As you guys know, if you listen to my content much, the jet dive game I think is spectacular offensive football. And in this case, we're running jet into the boundary where we have two tight ends lead blocking. It's Kolar and Likely. Our 22 personnel is fascinating to me right now. I would call it almost a power spread. It's multiple. It is worthy of its own video, which I will try to get out Wednesday for you guys. There's the jet by Flowers. This one goes for 9 yards. And then the dive off of it by Henry is delayed. You'll see another iteration of it a little bit later. Clean by Lamar, out on the edge, leaving the front side defensive end. In this case, it's Hendrickson, unblocked. Really nothing that can be done when you have that much speed in motion. You got to roll or do certain things with the secondary. They're already pre-rolled, they being the Bengals. Von Bell is in the box because he's got two tight ends to one side. I said it's to the boundary. The ball's actually in the middle of the field. You can see the nature of how you don't block a five technique defensive end. If he can tackle your jet guy, then your jet guy is no good. In this case, Hendrickson can't keep up at all. 9-yard gain. Perfect usage of Zay Flowers. I'd actually like to see us use that concept a little more. We're still into the first possession where the Ravens just basically blew down the field and scored easily. Ends up being a play action. Lamar kind of tries to sidearm it. It's 12 personnel bunch. Bengals kind of showing this heavy pressure look. Myles Murphy's going to get in the window of Lamar. Zay with this kind of stutter and then release to the flats. Andrews taking his route vertical to kind of hold the corner. Lamar, unfortunately, unable to get it to him. You can see a ton of space there to Zay if that ball is able to be on target. But he's dealing with Myles Murphy, who's a huge human being in the window, so I can understand. Still first possession here. Motion to slot I. There's two different motions we use out of slot I that pretty much tell you what the play is, but it's a play action to Flowers to the left side, 23 yards. How easy this is. I mean, it's almost shocking. I don't know what the numbers are for Lamar under center out of the eye from a play action standpoint. They have to be really good, number one. Number two, and I'll get to this in the 22 personnel video, notice Ricard was at the wing position, and then he motioned back as a fullback, number one. Number two, there's going to be split flow between Ricard and Henry. I'd like to see more of that from a run standpoint. Yes, it does remove Ricard as a lead blocker, but it kind of holds people and forces those teams that want to key on Ricard to kind of get away from that read at times. Additional to the completion to Flowers, I mean, when he takes people vertical and then brings it to the sideline, it's borderline unfair how quickly he can get there. There's actually times where I think Lamar could throw the ball a little sooner. Along with that, you can see that Likely is wide open, and when you get the end zone angle of it, you'll see that angle that he has as well. I like the play action from under center, particularly I formation, because I feel like it helps the offensive line, number one. Number two, it gives the defense something to think about and really, I think, stresses them, not just, in this case, this particular play, downhill, but I like it when we get Ricard and Henry moving to the same side and creates a little bit of horizontal stress. Lamar chose to go to Zay Flowers down here. A lot of confidence in his in the matchup that he had there. I think that CTB is playing at a totally different level than I had seen. I felt like he was a tenacious, difficult to deal with corner prior to this year. The film has not been complimentary. And I don't want to be disrespectful of a young man who I think has tremendous ability, but something doesn't look the same. Moving to the second possession, first quarter, very unusual here. We caught the Bengals in this, I think, 3 times where they're blitzing the nickel, and it ends up with a 3-over-2. If you don't remember, we actually hit Mark Andrews on something very similar to this, except it wasn't created with motion by Zay Flowers. It was created by Henry motioning out and basically ended up being a 3-on-2 again. NFL defenses do this often. It's almost maddening at times. But in any case, Lamar puts the ball into Henry's gut. Nickel defender is blitzing. Half-field safety, Geno Stone stepping down. It's a great job by Geno Stone here. Overwhelms Likely as a potential lead blocker. If we get any kind of leverage push by Likely, meaning if he takes Stone this way, or if he's able to dig Stone out of here and basically get to the outside shoulder of Stone, then Zay Flowers has an opportunity to take the ball upfield. It's a great play by Geno Stone. I don't remember him tackling very often like that in Baltimore, but he certainly played hard yesterday. Still second possession, 3rd and 5. Shocking way that the Bengals are defending Mark Andrews on the backside. They've done this before. Double Mark Andrews, fine, but it wasn't 2024 when you did that. I don't know that they can get away with this type of defense against Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, and Isaiah Likely. Flowers is over here. The point man matched up against DJ Turner. It doesn't get any more open than this. 3rd and 5, 4-man rush, playing a coverage that I don't know that they're going to want to play that anymore against the Ravens. I think Todd Monken in the rematch is going to put Mark Andrews backside and see if the Bengals give this alignment. If you were to cut the screen off right here, you have 0 Ravens offensive players lined up outside of that red line I drew. And, of course, you can see 3 Bengals lined up there, making it look like they're going to double Andrews. Hendrickson gets chipped a little bit by Andrews. Wilson goes to the inside, and this wide open field. I feel like if Wilson's feet are in this range here, pre-snap and then post-snap, obviously, then this pass isn't so easy. Look at the separation that Zay has completed. It's not just the ability to change directions after the snap and make people miss, like a deep out, a double move, if you will, at times. This is just straight speed. This is just run away from you across the middle of the field. There will have to be real coverage considerations and decisions made by the Bengals the next time we meet. Otherwise, people like Zay Flowers are going to be open like this again. So 3rd and 7, same possession. Second possession. Unfortunately, it's the one that Dax Hill got injured on. I really don't want to call attention to that, but it's an obvious point to make. Zay Flowers, I think, is running this route too deep. Ball ends up high from Lamar, obviously, on a 3rd and 7. For my money, I want to see this run at 3 to 4 yards at most beyond the sticks to gain. So the route configuration that's called, the play that's called, if you will, I get it. It's trips. Bateman's to the outside. Likely is bringing his route in. Totally isolated Dax Hill here, but you got a really smart corner up here. It happens to be CTB in this case. Yes, he is playing Bateman in a zone relationship. He's got eyes on Lamar, able to see the ball thrown. If it's thrown at a typical height, such that Zay Flowers can catch it in a high percentage opportunity, I think we get the first down. I didn't like the play call before that. We went empty and lost 3 yards, but that throw was high from Lamar, even though Flowers was pretty much wide open. An iteration of jet dive. You got 12 personnel, so 2 tight ends here. So we're kind of playing off of the first play of the game. Ball snapped a little bit later so that the jet doesn't really hold. They're bringing Von Bell off the edge, and Zay turns this into 15 yards. The ferociousness that that was on display when he had the ball in his hands, I thought was interesting because he's a smaller player in the NFL, but he's extremely strong, got a low center of gravity. And the change of direction stuff, Lamar has to float this out there really quick to Von Bell, uncovered into the flats. Zay is just a problem for them from an athletic standpoint because they can't cover him. They can't press him, in my opinion. And in open field like this, even in somewhat compressed space, I mean, he's catching this ball 5 yards from the bottom of the numbers to the sideline. with a converging inside linebacker on an inside-out angle, and Zay Flowers has caught this behind the line of scrimmage, turns it into a 15-yard gain. Absolute weapon against any team, but specifically the Bengals. This is fourth quarter now, one of the three situations in the second half where we are down 10 and Lamar basically puts us on his back. I think he should throw this ball a little earlier. I think I give you the end zone angle. I do in this one. I'll come back to the all-22 in a moment. Zay is off screen to our right. It's a 2nd and 7, little like a dig route from the right-hand side. Likely is bringing his route all the way through this safety, who I don't know what the heck he was reading post-snap. I'll get to that in a minute. Runs with Likely, so Lamar knows. Lamar went from here, brought his attention back to Flowers. I don't know why we don't throw this ball. Maybe the defensive tackle is in the window, and that's what Lamar is seeing. Pump fakes it, and then throws it after the pump fake. Ridiculous. Lamar's playing at an elite level, beyond elite. He's playing at MVP, actually above an MVP level, if you ask me. So, in reference to the boundary side safety, if you're reading the tackle, you're seeing a pass set, even though it's a little bit of a jump by Stanley. I think he's looking in the backfield. I think he's seeing the mesh. And fortunately for them, he's able to recover and get underneath of Likely's route. As it stands, another win by Flowers down the field. We'll bring it back to the all-22 angle so you can see it. This is the safety that I'm talking about. I think is staring right in the backfield instead of seeing a key, the left guard, left tackle combination. Stanley's definitely lined up deep in the backfield. If it was week 1 against the Chiefs, you can bet it would be called. Cool play design, if you ask me. Bringing Likely across on that kind of over concept. Patented by Mark Andrews for 3 or 4 years. And then Flowers back in behind it as a dig, if you will. Moving forward in time. Sticks, I think it's been solved. From the Ravens' standpoint, Lamar certainly had the ability to bring these tight ends in to help out. Generally seemed like we were doing that to our right. I don't think it necessarily had anything to do with Rosengarten. I think it had to do with the count. I think we were starting the count from outside in instead of inside out. That's just my opinion. I may be wrong there. I've previously thought that we were starting our count from inside out. We know that certain guys are going to drop out. It's often, the correct application or execution of it is these guys at the line of scrimmage are reading the offensive lineman to their inside, to their interior, and if that lineman steps to them, then they will drop out. I don't know if I give you the end zone angle, but check out these guys here. Who steps to them and who does not. And then they are able to drop out. But the Bengals weren't, I think, reading it on every single play. Some of it, in my opinion, was predetermined. But as it relates to Flowers, another example of him getting downfield on top of you. And with the route options that he has in all this space, I just don't think they can continue to play this coverage and not give up some of these routes to Flowers, to Bateman, and others. Beautiful throw by Lamar. He's hit Zay on that route, that deeper out at 14-16, probably 6 or 8 times in the last year plus. Zay is great at it. The timing between those two guys is perfect. You have to give the offensive line and Justice Hill credit. They slid this, meaning everybody for the offensive line is working here, and they force Justice Hill to take the guy to the backside. It's Pratt who basically tries to run through Justice Hill's face. I think it's a great job by Justice Hill, even though he's, there is a certain dynamic to this whereby he's going to be overpowered eventually. That's about as good as it's going to get against sticks, where you're looking at 6, maybe 7 guys blitzing after the quarterback. 17 yards to Flowers. These completions were, he's so open. It almost doesn't look like NFL level relationship between the receiver and the DB. Some of it is the type of coverage the Bengals are playing. It's very high risk, and I think high reward for the Ravens. The third different corner that I've shown you with him, a win against, maybe the fourth, in fact, if you count Dax Hill from earlier. I'll give you the end zone anchor. All 22 of this one. We're down 38-28 here. We're talking about 7.5, 7:20 left in the fourth quarter. Different way of handling the sticks coverage. In this case, Hill is working to the inside. Lamar throws it. It kind of dips down on him. The ball's kind of wiggling there. I think Flowers caught it twice. Ended up being a 12-yard reception. Here's the all 22 of this one. He's in the slot. What I really like is that we're stacking these two guys up top. I think it's Aguilar and Flowers who just motion down. It kind of forces a different read for the guys in that sticks blitz zero look, because now they're trying to match a funnel release. And in this case, Zay once again takes his route to the inside, brings it back out. Great catch. Don't get me wrong, 35, I don't really know who he is, but he was in better relationship there than some of the other guys that play for them in terms of a deep out. So this is an example of the sticks, quote, working. Lamar's unable to get anything off here. I think Zay had 7 catches, 102 yards, 112, something like that. Looked really quick. He is quick anyway, but he looked faster than the guys he was going against. He was playing at a different speed. Basically looks like the guy that we drafted in the first round. I like our usage of Zay Flowers in Sunday's game. There have been times in the last year plus where I felt like Monken was a little over-reliant on him. I'm so glad that when we saw sticks, we didn't go to a screen once. We had answers. I'll actually do a film study video called Sticks Been Solved and have that out probably Tuesday afternoon at some point. This one I wanted to release Monday night after the Monday Night Football game. I watched the first half of it and decided I'd rather put it out on Tuesday. Exciting times because of how many weapons the Ravens have. Lamar and Derrick Henry are at the forefront of it. It's so crazy that in a given week, certain guys the caliber of Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman can kind of be forgotten in this offense. Yesterday, or Sunday, I guess 2 days ago, as you guys listen, we needed all of them. We needed every single guy to have an impact at various times. Fun offense to watch now after we know that we won the game and we're 3-2. We have our hands full against Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders coming in here this week. But for now, get to appreciate the brilliance that was Zay Flowers and his connections with Lamar Jackson against the Bengals secondary that really, I think, is going to have to search really hard for answers and what they want to do the next time we meet. Appreciate you guys' time, man. Let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at Zay Flowers, his 7-catch, 100-yard game against the Bengals in Week 5, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.